Hello boys and girls, and welcome back to Victory Sports Virtual Basketball Camp. I am super glad that you're here today. I hope that you have enjoyed the last couple videos learning about dribbling, learning about shooting, and challenging me to a couple of games. Really excited for what we've got in store today, but before we get to our skill and drills, we've got to get nice and warmed up. So for today's warm-up, you need about 15 feet of space again. I've got this black line right here and that black line right there. That's going to be my 15 feet of space. What we're going to do to warm up today is we're going to take our 15 feet of space and we are going to do lunges on the way there and lunges on the way back. A lunge is really easy. All you do is take a big step forward with your right foot and then bend your back leg, your left leg, until your knee touches the ground. Try to keep your chest up. Don't bend your chest like this. Bend just like that and then step together. Then you're going to take your left foot, big step forward, and bend so that right knee touches the ground. Just like that. Those are lunges. Do lunges all the way to 15 feet. Turn around, do lunges all the way back. Once you finish your lunges, the next warm-up part we're going to do is a broad jump, or sometimes we call these a frog jump because you look a little bit like a frog. Broad jump's really easy. All you're going to do is start all the way down so that your hands and your toes are on the ground. You look a little bit like a frog. And you're going to jump as high and as far as you can all the way and then land right back like a frog, just like this. Keep going all the way until you get 15 feet and then turn around and do those broad jumps on the way back. The last thing we're going to do to warm up today is the same thing we've done every day. Jumping jacks. We've got 10 of them. I think you know the drill by now. Here we go. All done with our warm-up. That's 10 jumping jacks, that's frog jumps, and that's lunges. I'm ready for some basketball. So what you're gonna need today is you're gonna need a ball, and you're either gonna need a wall that you can throw the ball off of, or you need a partner. So go find a ball, find that wall or partner, and meet me right back here for our next skill and drill. Okay, boys and girls, I hope you've got your ball in either a wall or a partner, because today is actually my very favorite skill in all of basketball. Today we're going to practice passing, getting the ball from you to a teammate. It's my favorite thing to do in all of basketball. I love to shoot, I love to dribble, I love to do everything, but passing is my favorite. So before we get to passing, a couple things I want to show you just so you can focus on them while you're doing it. 3 really easy things. Number 1, in order to be a good passer, you've also got to be a really good chicken. I'm just kidding. You don't actually have to be a chicken. But you do have to have chicken wings to be a good passer. You want to have your elbows up so they look a little bit like wings. If you've got your elbows down, it's a little bit harder to make a pass. But if you've got your elbows up, that pass is a little bit easier to make. That's the first thing. The second thing you want to do is you actually want to focus on your thumbs. You want to make sure your thumbs are pointed up towards the sky when you're holding the ball to start. Just like this, I've got my thumbs pointed up, and then when I make the pass, I'm actually going to turn so that my thumbs are pointed down. I'm going to flip my thumbs so they're pointed down, just like this. Did you see that? I throw it, and my thumbs are then pointed down. They start up, and then I point them, and they go down. The last thing you want to do is you want to focus on your feet. So we've got our chicken wings, we've got our thumbs. The last thing you want to do is focus on your feet, because every single time you make a pass, you want to make sure you step into that pass. You can use your left foot or your right foot, it doesn't matter. Either foot's fine, but you want to make sure you step right into that pass. If you don't, if you just stand flat-footed, it's a little bit harder to get the ball all the way to your target. So you've got your chicken wings, you've got your thumbs, you've got your feet. Those are the 3 things I want to focus on as we get into our drill. Okay, now that we know how to make a good pass with the right form, with our elbows, our thumbs, and our feet, now we're gonna get into our drill time. The drill's really easy. It's wall or partner passing. So I've got my wall right here, and I'm gonna pick a spot on that wall that's just about where my chest is, and I'm gonna look right at that spot, and that's where I'm gonna pass the ball every single time. To start, all I wanna do is I wanna throw a few passes right at that spot, catch it when it comes back, using perfect passing form. Perfect. We call that a chest pass because that ball goes from my chest right to my teammate's chest. Now, if you have a wall, you can do it just like I did it. That's a perfect way to do it. Or if you have a partner, you and your partner can just go back and forth throwing chest passes to each of your chests. That's the first pass. So I want you to see if you can do 4 perfect chest passes with your partner or with the wall. Nice job. The next pass we're going to do is a bounce pass. It's called a bounce pass, believe it or not, because you're going to bounce the ball to the target. Now the good news is you do everything else the exact same. All of the passing form that we just learned, you still do with a bounce pass. You still want your elbows up, you still want your thumbs up, and you still want to take a step. But this time, instead of passing it to my partner's chest or to the wall at the spot that I picked, I'm actually going to pick a spot on the ground that's a little bit further than halfway to my target. So if I'm standing right here, this black line is probably a little too close to me, because if I pass it right in front of that black line, it's not going to get all the way to my wall or the partner. But if I pass it a little bit further, that is a perfect bounce pass. If I pass it too close to my own feet, it's not going to get there. If I pass it too close to my partner, it's going to hit them in the feet, or it's going to hit the wall right at the bottom. Let's see if we can do 4 perfect bounce passes now. Nice job. After you get more comfortable just doing that, a good way to make this a little more exciting, a little harder on yourself, is to turn it into clap pass. Clap pass is a fun game that I like to play sometimes with a wall or a partner, and all you do is you do wall passing, but you clap as many times as you can before the ball comes back to you. I think I did 3 there, 4 there, 5 there, I barely got it. Clap pass is another great way to keep practicing passing and catching the ball. See how many you can do with your partner. I think I got 5. That's not bad. Clap pass, wall passing, really, really good ways to practice passing the basketball. Welcome back to Challenge Time, boys and girls. I'm so happy that you're here today. Yesterday we talked a little bit about a story about 3 young men named Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and the crazy things that God did to save them because they love Him and followed Him, and because God loves them. Now today we're actually going to talk about one of my other favorite stories in all of the Old Testament. It's a story about a woman named Esther. Esther was an amazing, amazing person that did amazing, amazing things. But we'll get to her in a second. First, I want to give you guys the key point of today, kind of the main theme of this story. And that is, following God gives you the courage to do what's right, but it also gives us the courage to say the truth, to speak the truth. Following God gives us the courage to speak the truth. Now let's get to our story. Our story today comes back from the Old Testament again, and is this time in a kingdom called Persia. Now the king of this kingdom, his name was King Xerxes. And Xerxes had a right-hand man, or kind of a second in command, named Haman. So Xerxes was the king of the entire kingdom, and Haman was his right-hand man. One day Xerxes said to Haman, "Haman, I need a queen. I need a wife. You got to go out and find someone for me to marry, because this kingdom needs a queen." So Haman went out and found a bunch of women, a bunch of beautiful young women, and he brought them to the king so that King Xerxes could choose who he wanted to marry. King Xerxes looked at all the women, and he chose a woman named Esther. Esther was very glad to marry King Xerxes. They lived happily ever after, that kind of stuff. But in between then, there's a lot of other things that happened. So Esther marries King Xerxes, and things are going really, really well. But there was a little bit of a problem. You see, there was a guard in the kingdom named Mordecai. And Mordecai was what we call Jewish. cut that, Jay. Sorry, I totally lost my train of thought. Mordecai was a Jew. Now, there were a lot of people back then that really didn't like Jews, and they didn't have any good reason not to like these people, but they just didn't. And Haman was one of those people that didn't like Jews. If you remember Haman, he's Xerxes' second in command, his right-hand man. So Haman decided that he was going to try something. He decided he was going to try to convince King Xerxes that he should pass a law that gets rid of all the Jews, that sends them all away. Mostly because Haman didn't like all Jews, but he really didn't like this Mordecai guy. So Haman kind of talks King Xerxes into it. And King Xerxes figures, okay, if Haman thinks it's a good idea, he's my right-hand man, it must be a good idea. Well, there's a little bit of a problem. Esther, who just married King Xerxes, was Mordecai's cousin. She was also a Jew, but nobody knew that. No one knew that Esther and Mordecai were related, and nobody knew that Esther was a Jew. So when Esther heard about this law, she probably was really scared. What was she going to do? Her whole family, Mordecai and everybody else, and even herself, were all going to be kicked out of the kingdom, that's no good. So Esther had to do something. She had to say something. She was scared. She was scared because who knew what King Xerxes was going to say? Who knew what Haman would do? But she was also scared because there was another law at that time in Persia. There was a law that if you go approach the king without an invitation, you would be kicked out of the kingdom. So if you just walk into the king's quarters, you just walk into his room, you could be thrown out of the kingdom, even as the queen. So Esther had a really, really hard decision to make. Not only did she have to break one law by going to the king uninvited, but then she had to tell the king, hey, I'm actually Mordecai's cousin, and I'm also a Jew. And she had to think about, what would King Xerxes say to that? What would he do? Would he kick them all out of Persia? Or would he save them? So somehow, probably because she followed God, Esther had the courage to go to the king, and she invited the king and Haman to dinner at her place the next night. So the king and Haman agreed to come to dinner at Esther's house, even though she came to the king's quarters uninvited, and they all sat down to eat. And Esther went on and just told them, here's the deal. I'm Mordecai's cousin. I am a Jew, and if you kick all Jews out like Haman wants to because he doesn't like them for some reason, then you have to kick me out too. Well, King Xerxes was so mad. He was furious. And Esther backed away and was a little scared, a little frightened, and all of a sudden King Xerxes just looked at Haman, looked at his second in command, and he said, Haman, why do you hate these Jews? What have they done to you or anybody that you hate them so much? And why are you trying to kick out my new queen from the kingdom? Haman stuttered and was terrified and had no real answer to give to King Xerxes. And so King Xerxes kicked out Haman and made it a law that all Jewish people, all Jews, were more than welcome in Persia. Now, because Esther followed and loved God, she had the courage to speak the truth and to say what was truthful, even though she was risking maybe being thrown from Persia. That's amazing. There's a lot of times where saying the truth is really hard. Maybe saying a lie would be a lot easier. It probably would have been a lot easier for Esther if she would have just said, oh no, I'm not a Jew. I'm not related to Mordecai or any of the other Jews. It would have been a lot easier for her to do that. Me and you, I know sometimes for me, it's a lot easier just to tell just a little lie, something that we don't think will hurt anybody, just so that I don't get in trouble. But that's not right. That's not what following God looks like, and we know that. So following God, loving God, that'll give us the courage to be like Esther and to speak the truth. Let's pray. Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you for this amazing story about this amazing woman, this amazing person, God, in Esther, and for her courage
to speak the truth even though it could have gotten her in huge trouble, even though she was terrified of what might happen. God, I pray that you help us to be like Esther, that you help us to speak the truth even when it's hard, speak the truth even when it's scary, and to speak the truth even when we think we might get in trouble. Because we know that following you will give us the courage to do that, and we know that we want to do that because we love you. In your name, amen. All right, thanks for listening to that story today. One of my all-time favorites. Now, let's get back to a little more basketball. All right, boys and girls, it's that time again. It's time for Challenge Coach Joel. Now, yesterday we did speed shooting to see how many shots we can make in 30 seconds. I think I made 5. I hope you beat me, because today we're actually going to do another shooting game. Even though we practice our skill and drill time on passing, we're going to go back, do another shooting game I'm really excited about. This challenge is called 2 in a row. All you need is 3 spots. I've got a cone right there, cone right here, and there's my 3rd spot with a cone right there, and you've got to make 2 shots at every single spot. Now, here's how it works. If I shoot and make it, and then shoot the next one and miss it, I go back to 0. I still have to make 2 in a row from that spot. As soon as I make 2 in a row right there, I can move to this spot. If I shoot it here and make it, and then shoot it again and miss it, I go back to 0, but I stay at this spot. I keep staying at this spot. I don't have to go back to the beginning. So as soon as I make 2 in a row here, then I go to the last spot, make 2 in a row there, then I'm done. That's my time. Let's see if you can do 2 in a row at all 3 spots before I can. Timed. Not bad. I think I did it in 30 seconds. That's 30 seconds for me, 30 seconds for Coach Joel. 2 in a row. That's our challenge, Coach Joel, today. Let's see if you can beat me. Loved having you guys here today. Can't wait to have you back next time for our next day of virtual Victory Sports Basketball Camp. I love you. We'll see you later.